Okay, so here you'll see all my Niv Mizzet commander decks that I've created. I've played many of them on the channel. Full text can be done later. But I did get a question in comments and I said I'd respond to, and it is Niv Land Destruction possible with rainbow cards. So what I'm going to show you up here in the 1v1 commander, forbidden to never be played. Well, I will play it now because people have asked about it. Niv to Kaboom, yes Niv, Kaboom. This is Rainbow Land Destruction. It is not a true viable deck because what it does is it targets one single player while trying to leverage some decent effects. It doesn't have any mass land destruction, so it just does, well it does, but I can show you this in time. So let's just go through what we're showing here. So we have our standard ramp package, 10 green ramp spells. We have Dovin's Veto as a good catch-all for all spells like that we need to worry about. Dovin, the Hand of Control, slight bit of taxing, way to prevent damage, you know, a little bit of... We stretch for effective abilities like this in Azorius. And we have Enchanted Evening. All permanents are enchantments in addition to other types. So, we will come back to that in a bit. We'll move on. We have Despark, good removal. Kaya's Guile, Edict, Eats a Graveyard, very relevant. Vindicate, destroy target permanent, so this can target lands. Angel of Despair, when Angel of Despair enters the battlefield, we destroy a permanent. Ashen Rider, when it enters the battlefield or dies, exile a permanent. So we have some permanent removal in Orzhov. Dimir, we go for more bouncing. So you'll notice that Recoil returns to hand, Clutch of the Undercity, return a permanent, and Deny Reality. So this is more about bouncing lands, putting them one land down. They can still replay the lands, but it's slow down. Ashiok is a good way to bounce a threat that's not, for example, basically it can't bounce a land, but it can bounce anything else. Also pumps out tokens which disincentivize attacks because they exile part of their library. It's a filler card, but it's pretty solid. And also the Trickster God's Heist. Exchanging two target creatures to mess with someone. We can swap commanders, particularly I've used this before to swap a Kalia with another commander that was, I think it was Muldrotha, so they literally couldn't do anything with their main thing they built their deck around. We can then swap basic lands or other effects like that. So it's more about swapping and things. Okay, so we're going to go into our next category, which is It? Is It, we focus more on returning the spell. So we have Bloodwater Entity, Is It Chronolarch to return our land destruction spells and effects. We have Dak to steal artifacts, which is kind of in Commander stealing mana. Iron Eyes is a good catch-all counterspell. And finally we have Protean Raider. We have this because 9 times out of 10 it will be another Niv Mizzet. We attack when Niv casts this, it becomes a Niv Mizzet, we get more options. We could also make it a copy of some of our like Angel of Despair, Ashen Rider, depending on what we need. It can also target opponent's creatures because it's any creature on the battlefield. So if they have something amazing, we can take that and grind that for advantage. Rakdos. There is some good land destruction. We have Rakdos All as purely our catch-all modal spell, which is pretty solid. And then we have 4 land destruction spells. We have the Fulminator Mage. Anyone who's played Modern knows what this does. Poison the Well, destroy a land. Wrecking Ball, destroy a creature or land, so solid removal 4. And Fumo land, word I can't say, destroy target creature and target land. So pretty solid catch-all there. Golgari, Assassin's Trophy actually can hit lands. People often forget this. So you can destroy a land and they get a basic. Now, in most scenarios it's not ideal, but I will say that you can cripple a lot of decks by, for example, taking away Gaia's Cradle or taking away Urborg if they're being greedy with their mana types. So it's pretty solid. South, the Well Meter, a good board wipe effect. If we destroy a couple of like lands while this is on the field, it gets 2 counters. We remove those counters on our upkeep. We wipe everything else away, and we exile, which is the insane thing about Sarulf. Drain the Well is a straight up land destruction card, and we gain life. Binding of the Old Gods destroys a non-land permanent and ramps us. A good all-round catch spell. Culling Ritual. I'm becoming more and more impressed with this card. This thing takes out, in the sense of destroying the mana denial, takes out Soul Rings, 0 mana artifacts, ramp spells, treasure tokens. This spell, I think, needs to see more play. Casualties of War. If anyone's played Standard or Historic, they know how crippling this card can be. Yep, no words better. Into Golgari. So we have Reap the Past, which is a good catch-all return card. I'm starting to really enjoy this card as a good grab everything back, or grab several things back. Awaken the Trolls, which is a saga which can destroy a land, then we can steal a land from an opponent, and then we can make a bunch of Troll Warriors. It is surprisingly okay in this deck, because we will deny one opponent lands. Frenzy Tiding, destroy a land, search your library card for a basic land. So this is land destruction with ramp on top of it. Pretty fun. Wreak Havoc, a spell that can't be countered, destroy an artifact or land. So Decimate. So the one thing you'll note, and Decimate, sorry, destroy target artifact, creature, enchantment, and target land. So one thing you'll notice going through this, there is a lot of land destruction multicolored, which is pretty crazy to me. Alright, so moving on to Boros. So we have Boros Charm as a catch-all, we have General Rodriguez to gain power, and we have Ajani Vengeance. Ajani, his ultimate is destroy all lands that one player controls, so it's pretty solid. You can also keep a land tapped down with his +1, so yeah, he fills all of our roles basically. And Boros Charm is also important, because I will now discuss it here. So what we have here is with Boros Charm, Fracturing Gust, and Enchanted Evening, what happens is here, we make everything an enchantment with Enchanted Evening. We then give all our permanents indestructible with Boros Charm. We then cast Fracturing Gust and destroy everyone else's permanents. And Enchanted Evening hits the lands as well, so including the lands become enchantments. So it's a solid catch-all mass land destruction for 12 mana. That's the only mass land destruction I'm acceptable with in this case. Moving along, we have Yishan, Impactful Earth. This is good for ramping us, not ramping us, just ensuring our land drops and cutting off opponents' treasure strategies. Really good. Renegade Rallier can buy back some of our smaller things. Mostly are... Wait, what does this actually pick up here? Because I reshuffled the deck recently before I took it. I actually don't think that picks anything up. It does not. So, alright, so live change here. We are going to change Renegade Rallier because I just realized the only thing you could pick up is the one fetch land I have. We're going to put Solar Blaze in the deck and take out the Renegade Rallier. Yeah, because it's converted mana cost 2 or less. So Solar Blaze, obviously good board wipe. Just another answer. We have Favor and Elder here. Gets +1/+1 for each column on permanents we control. So in this deck it's pretty always Ruberg. Reborn Hope can return our land destruction, our planeswalker, whatever we need from our graveyard back to our hand. Then in our Simic, we are going from ramp. So our idea is we get ahead, we pick off strategic lands and other effects to keep people down. We have Urban Evolution, extra land drop trophy cards, patch you over. No word to say, if you've ever played against this card, you know how insane it is. Bring to Light is a good catch-all, grab whatever we need if we have it. Risen Reef, we don't have a lot of elementals, but just it's a pretty okay effect. Actually, Ghost Spiral. You know what? I actually am going to do another live change here. So this shows you how much I looked into this deck. So we're going to sort out Risen Reef with, I believe, Risen Reef's great as a one-off, but it's free mana, hit it. So I'm going to actually, I'm going to get Coiling Oracle because it's one cheaper. You know what? We're not going to get Coiling Oracle. We're going to get Uro. Yes. And Growth Spirals there. So, I think that Uro will probably work okay in the deck. So, let's put this into converted mana cost value. So, you can see here we have a lot of 2-drops and 3-drops, 4-drops. 4-drops is where the majority of our land destruction is. Our 3-drops and 2-drops are mostly ramp and interactive effects. If we hit 4 or 5 mana, we just start hitting all of our land destruction. We also run, I always get stuck in the lands, go and never see it, struggle, survive, to shuffle graveyards back in if we get milled or we need effects like that. And we have Revival, Revenge. Revival in this deck can revive a lot of our little creatures, so it can hit, as you can see here, General, Fierce Rhetoric, Uro, Sarulf, Fulminator Mage, Bloodwater Entity to get it back. So, nice trick you can do with this is bring Bloodwater Entity back, put Revival Revenge back on top of the deck. I can't remember how the timing works. But yeah, just to say, it's a pretty solid catch in this deck. But yes. So in answer to the question, is land destruction viable? It's not viable. We can create a deck with it. But it goes in the category of not to be played with your friends unless you've really talked about it first. Let me put it that way. Anyway, I will be back later with a gameplay for this, but I'm going to have to go in a random lobby and get destroyed, I think, because I don't think any of my friends online want to play against this deck. And I don't blame them.